friends. I am just at the end of my dopamine from from being on the phone all afternoon with all kinds of emergency issues medically. Um, but I got some good information from my doctor. I was finally able to meet with my doctor. It's taken me forever and ever to get through. And it's just amazing how much difficulty there's been to it. I mean, there's over 25 emails that are still unanswered. Um, and like against that, how amazing she is when I can get through. I mean, she just removes barriers even before I tell her they're there. Like she just removes barriers. It's just so special. So anyway, I we had kind of a check-in meeting today because there were so many things. One of them was the hand issue. I don't know if you can tell. I guess it looks a little bit different. Yeah, you can tell the swelling a little bit in this one. This has been purple most of the day, purple and shiny and gray. Weird. Um, I It's still hurting. I took some THC yesterday for it. I tried to just take a quarter gummy, but I definitely needed a half. Taking the half seems to have done the good work of it without having like the real edgy terribleness of like the coming down part of the CBD that isn't good for me, where I get real agitated and have a lot of trouble. So duly noted. I'll try that again. I use the Medterra brand, but the problem with that is that their website never ever works. So I talked to my doctor about like, what do I do when these things are spiking? I said, I don't want to get into pain management or opiates or, like I don't do that well with medication anyway. And it's just harrowing to even get into pain management. But like, there are these times when it's just this huge spike and I cannot use my arm and it's just really debilitating and scary. And she said, well, let's start you on LDN. And I was real surprised actually that she went there. Because I'm a pretty new patient, and that's low dose naltrexone. If you're new to that, it inhibits. I'm going to probably say this wrong. I'm not a doctor. Keep in mind, this is just me being a person trying to understand things. But my understanding is that it inhibits opiates. So if you're on an opiate, you can't really use them together. But that it is really good in kind of micro doses for reducing inflammation. But I'm in some groups where people are on it and they have real varying results. And I thought, well, I probably won't even get put on that for quite a long time until we see how my treatment goes, because we don't want to I thought maybe it would just mask symptoms that we're trying to get to right now. But I asked her about that and she said, no, like we need your inflammation to go down enough where you can tolerate some other medications. And I mentioned to her that I had done the cholestyramine for 2 days and it had just destroyed my digestive system. And she didn't seem surprised and she believed me and it was like not a big deal. And so I said, I stopped and I took a bunch of probiotics and I think I have it sorted out now. But I said, I'm not sure what to do next. And she said, well, let's take you off that. Let's put you on the MycoPull, which I had just learned about from someone else the other day. Apparently the doctor thought she had put me on it already. It's actually in my paperwork. And I said, I saw that in my paperwork today, but I'm not familiar with that. I'm just getting familiar with it. So it is a charcoal base, but has some zeolite and selenium and a bunch of other stuff, about 12 ingredients. Zeolite, you have to be kind of careful with when you're chelating, but there's so little in there. I'm kind of less worried about it. And at any rate, I won't take it the 3 days that I'm chelating. I'll just take it the rest of the time. So she said just even one of those a day will do a good job and will pull down that inflammation if I don't have an active exposure. And I told her about my floor having a water problem recently. And she said, yeah, we'll see, when we do your lab updates in 6 or 8 weeks, then we'll see. And if it's gone up 25% or more, then we'll know that you have an active exposure. And if it doesn't, or if we can, be reducing it, then we'll know that you don't, and you won't have to rip up your house. So that's great. She also apparently goes by Dr. Shoemaker's protocol, and I've heard his name around, so I'll learn more about that now. But she is a student of his, apparently. She's an MD, but she's a student of his way of doing it. So that's good to know too. So she said, how are you doing on your doxy? And I said, I haven't started it yet because I really hadn't gotten the test results yet. And I needed to run those by my supplement advisors because it just didn't seem safe not to. And she was totally cool with that and fine. And she was like, oh, yeah, of course. And she said, well, if you're having trouble with the cholestyramine, then don't take anything else for right now. Let's just do the MycoPull, and let's start you on LDN. Here's the thing. She said that 4.5 milligrams is the least amount that you can take of LDN and have it impact inflammation. Well, people I know are on LDN in way lower amounts, way lower. Even people a lot bigger than me are. And in fact, a friend of mine is too. And in fact, a few friends of mine are. And they're all on doses less than that. So apparently their doctors are not paying too much attention to Dr. Schumacher's recommendations and the clinical amounts that you're supposed to take. She stays up on these things constantly. So I feel not afraid to try 4.5 with her. And again, I'm surprised, but I'm excited to try it. Especially now that I know that if I have a bad reaction, she will trust me and not, be freaked out about me stopping something. I also saw a neurologist at the very, very, very last minute yesterday, who had just a spot open up. Wasn't even the neurologist that I'm in line to see in March. And he asked a lot of good questions. He's not an infectious disease person, and so he's a little skeptical about the whole tick-borne illness and mold thing. But I don't need him to be knowledgeable in that because I have this other doctor that is, and after meeting with her again today, I really felt like she knew it inside and out. But he did ask me a lot of good questions about my neuropathy. He asked me a lot of good questions about my hand, and he said Wellbutrin shouldn't have that much power over your body. It shouldn't be able to trigger such a strong reaction or crippling. But he said, if there were things waiting in the wings that were already vulnerabilities, then apparently that's what adding that ingredient did to you. So that's just another, caution tale too, of like, before we put another thing in our body, just be aware that stuff, it's a big pinball machine in here and stuff can ping off of each other. And of course, if you have a body that does better with synthetics, then go that direction. If you have a body that does better with naturals, you probably need to go that direction. So anyway, I'm very encouraged. I started the day with, it was just a complete shit show. But having gotten to meet with my doctor all of a sudden was very special and amazing. And having, like not feeling like I had to hide about, oh, well, this didn't work for me, but she's not going to believe me, or she's going to think I'm difficult or whatever. She actually pulled those prescriptions off the list and she was like, okay, let's not do those right now. Let's just do this one thing and stay in our lane. And I did tell her, like, having more than one thing at a time, I think will be probably hard for me, since I have so many bad reactions. And, but I said, the MycoPull, I've seen the ingredient list. It looks like all stuff I need. It looks like all stuff that would, that I respond well to. So she was like, here you go, try it, And so then her person called me and said that they sell it in the office, but I'm going to have to buy it online because they need a check for it. And I can just get it online just as easy. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm very relieved. I'm relieved that I'm going to get some pain management, and without having to go to some like toxic, gross, doctor's office and get treated like a criminal. And I'm so relieved that I feel like I can really be fully transparent with her about, when stuff doesn't work. And she said that she's going to look into, I asked her about, like, is there a better way to reach you? Because, I've just had no luck in the past 2 months, and there's oodles of emails that are just not answered. And she clearly didn't know anything about that. And she was like, let me work on that. Let's see what's going on there. And I said, yeah, if you need me to resend stuff to show you, I can, but, I'm just trying to figure out how to work everything. So anyway, I feel much better than I did 4 hours ago. I've barely been awake for 4 hours and the workday's already done. But I also sent um, another letter on sort of more legalese, disability accommodation things, but that's a different video. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. And if you need to know more about LDN, or if you need to know more about Dr. Shoemaker, then maybe good leads for you too. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm certainly not your doctor. So I can't tell you what the appropriate dosage would be for you, if that was even an appropriate thing for you. But we just all keep trying to put the pieces together. So hope that's helpful.